cafe actually that do breakfast, and maybe paint a different picture, that he was so concerned. Wow, it's windy up here. So from Enza to Edensor, we leave Enza and head towards Monsal Head, through Cresswell Valley and to Lytton. From Lytton we head back through Millersdale, which we did once before, onto the Buxton Road and through, stop at the Opera House in Buxton, and then we take on the famous Cat and Fiddle. Past the Cat and Fiddle and down through to Macclesfield, then we're in the unknown. Interesting that from now on, I've never been in these particular roads. We go through Cheshire, Staffordshire, back into Derbyshire and through to Longnaw. From Longnaw we head to Monash, through the back roads into Bakewell, just touch Bakewell before we head back on the road from Bakewell through to the Chatsworth estate and Enza in the loop. You'll love this route. About 60 miles, you'll love every minute. Good morning everyone. There you see Chatsworth on my right. We've been there, done that. But this route, 60 miles or so from Enza to Enza. Now you may not know where Enza is. Well, this Chatsworth, this is what I need to show you. Chatsworth to the right, and that church right in front of us, that's Enza, a small village. I just want you to get the position of Chatsworth and the village of Enza. We're going to stop there, have a little walk around, some breakfast before we start the route. Enza spelt Edensor, but pronounced Enza for some unknown reason. So there's the turn in to Chatsworth. You can't see it now, it's behind the trees, the beautiful house. And I want you to take note of this house on the right. This is the gardener's cottage. It's now one of Chatsworth's rented properties. They have about 20 odd. So remember the gardener's cottage, and here on the left is Enza that we're going to pull into. Delightful village, beautiful architecture, and we'll have a walk around. I can park up here behind that car. There's a cafe to the left, very nice cafe actually, that do breakfasts and lunches and afternoon teas. So this is the village of Enza with a variety of styles of housing. It's quite remarkable. The church has been here for many years, but why I wanted you to look at the proximity to Chatsworth House is because in the 1600s, the 6th Duke of Derbyshire in Chatsworth House destroyed Enza and rebuilt it as you see it today. The story I was always told, and the story that is quite well known, is that the Duchess looked out of the window of Chatsworth House, didn't like to be able to see this village, had it knocked down and rebuilt. My father-in-law, who's 99 this year, still alive, lives along the road from us. His grandfather was a head gamekeeper to Chatsworth Estate and told him many, many stories. So that was one of the ones that we heard. So just walking around, was it possible that the aristocrat of the day destroyed the village and rebuilt it. It's the sort of thing you can imagine, isn't it, in those days. But studying recently, there may be a different story to this, because some letters at Chatsworth have kept from the 6th Duke maybe paint a different picture, that he was so concerned that houses or a village right next to the Chatsworth House itself should be of a standard and a style that was in keeping. So it seemed that he did it because he loved the people. So I don't know. They were all destroyed except for one, and that was a gardener's cottage I pointed out. And there's a lot of reasons that maybe why that cottage was left where it was. But what I've walked up to while I've been talking is the churchyard. Well, there's 2 graves here that have, to my mind, they're very significant. Now this is the first gravestone. You know, it's so worn out. It says, in memory of Sir Joseph Paxton. What's all this about? Why are we at a gravestone of some old sir? Well, Sir Joseph Paxton was the head gardener at Chatsworth in the 1600s. He got the job when he was only 21, so that was quite remarkable, wasn't it? But like many men in those days, he seemed to have talents of all sorts of things. And he studied the lily plant, for instance, that he grew in Chatsworth Gardens. He realised how strong the structure of the plant was, you know, the pads. He even put his child on it. It took its weight. And from what he learnt from that, he started to design the glass houses at Chatsworth. And eventually he was the one who designed Crystal Palace, that incredible feat of engineering in its day. All from a gardener. But what we know Sir Joseph Paxton for more than anything, believe it or not, is bananas. He cultivated the Cavendish banana because the Duke and Duchess of the Cavendish family, Cavendish is on the front of Chatsworth House, you see the big name, Cavendish, and he cultivated this banana and developed it, won big award for it. But in the 1950s, the common banana in the world was the Gros Michel, something like that. Anyway, it got a disease, Panama disease, a fungus, and it wiped them out. The banana that you eat today is a Cavendish banana, developed here at Chatsworth House by this man, Joseph Paxton, Sir Joseph Paxton. And virtually every banana in the world, there are other varieties, but 98% or something of the bananas that are eaten throughout the world all stem from Chatsworth. Because they found that the Cavendish banana was resistant to this disease. It could go into the ground that actually had the disease and it flourished. Sadly now it seems that this virus, it's like the COVID-19 of the banana world. This virus has actually caught up, it's mutated, and the Cavendish in some countries is now being devastated by the very same thing. So there's a big problem in the world as to the supply of bananas, or there could be. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's big worry now and scientists are looking at it. Can you imagine that it all happened here? I'm sure you love bananas. But there is another grave here. Another grave here. I always have trouble finding it, but bear with me. This next gravestone may surprise you because it's the sister of JFK, John F. Kennedy, the famous American president, of course, who was assassinated. He actually came in his helicopter, landed here to visit his sister's grave. She was married to one of the important men at Chatsworth, who died in the Second World War.
Come along and just put some flowers there, and
I always,
a quick visit today.
I always expect her gravestone to be huge for some reason.
Well, it's,
But-
I suppose it might be something to do with with the Kennedy family, because they're very much Catholics. And
Oh,
she,
yeah.
and she fell in love, obviously, and I say it's a Protestant cemetery, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, President Kennedy came to see her grave about 6 months before he was assassinated.
Oh, 1963.
Yeah, she gave it all up for Chatsworth and for love, and obviously, she's been buried here. And although it was mainly the mother that was sort of staunch Catholic, the rest of the family were coming round,
were
and
they?
supported. But yes, it's
That's amazing, isn't it?
that's right. There's a tribute to John Kennedy.
To John Kennedy coming here.
Visit about 6 months before his assassination. So, and the family, they were just sort of coming round to the fact and, beginning to sort of all make up, and then tragically
Yeah.
she died in the aircraft.
Oh, is it an aircraft she died in?
Yes.
Because her husband died in the war.
He was shot right at the end of the war, and I think she'd accepted an airlift from, I think his name was Fitzwilliam, to do with
Oh, yeah.
Wentworth Woodhouse family. And
Ah.
yes, it crashed, and it was only a light aircraft, but everybody on board sort of killed. And yes, and she was beginning to live again as well. It was about 3 or 4 years after her husband
Yeah,
died.
1948, I see that.
And she was just about beginning to think, well, maybe, I'll go and enjoy life again. And then that tragically happened.
Brilliant.
But I
Oh.
must put this up straight.
I'm glad I met you in the end.
Oh,
And this is the plaque here that was laid when John Kennedy, just before he was assassinated, 29th of June 1963. So who would have known that in a tiny little village of a few hundred people, that these people lived and died. Now the cafe here does a fabulous breakfast. It really does. Enza Tea Cottage, as you can see there, with its own parking. So normally I would park in here. There's plenty of room today.
Thank you. Yes, that's fine. So the little one in the corner. Yeah, the little one.
So now let the route start. And here is Chatsworth Farm Shop to the left, and a cafe, beautiful farm shop. Now we're heading for what I discover is one of the most photographed scenes, landscapes there is in England, Monsal Head, Great Longston. And this is Monsal Head. Do you recognise the view? And a beautiful scene on a sunny day is just remarkable. Now the whole plan is to go down into that valley, but the road sign, although it's blown down, says the road closed. So that scuppers everything. The cars are coming up. Shall I try it and see how far I can get? Oh, road ahead. Closed. Again, I've never been on this, but I'm following signposts to find the route again. You can see on my sat nav now, I've come onto the route. Oh dear, what's happened here? Somebody shed a load. God dear. Wow. Boy, that's not good. So I'm going to turn off and find parking here if I can. So here we are in Buxton. Very, very quiet for once. Have a little walk around. So this is the Opera House. You used to be able to go around it in the day, but I don't think they do that anymore. And the Pavilion Gardens are here. Throughout the year they have antiques and craft exhibitions in these Pavilion Gardens, and it's a lovely setting for them. So I could spend a little while here walking around, but we'll just have a quick look. Many of you all know Buxton. It's a favourite place to visit, high up in the peak. This always looks a nice hotel. Anybody staying right opposite the Opera House here. But I want to show you the latest hotel. And here is the front in all its glory. I think you agree, it's quite staggering, isn't it? They were doing packages for local people when it first opened that were very attractive. I wish we'd done it now. But it is beautiful. So this hotel has really improved Buxton's tiredness that it looked when this was just derelict for all those years. Well, that was a nice little walk around Buxton. So this is the infamous Cat and Fiddle. I won't talk a lot, maybe music will be better, until we get to the Cat and Fiddle, what was the pub, and then down into Macclesfield. What a route. Always bearing in mind that it's 50 miles an hour and it is the most dangerous motorbiking road in the UK. Well, it was last time I looked. Cat and Fiddle, but it isn't now. It is a distillery, believe it or not. It distills gin and whiskey. Wow, it's windy up here. Better to be moving. Here we arrive in Macclesfield. It's a bit of, you come off those bends and that wildness, instantly you're in a 30-mile-an-hour limit and it's built up. It seems so different, doesn't it? I don't think I've ever turned left. Quite an interesting route. I've got no idea why I chose these roads. I couldn't find anything about the history of where I'm going through. It's just farms and little villages. There's no... There's the sharp bends. Some now we're into Staffordshire from Cheshire. Am I serious? Yeah. In the rain at all. This is a gentle breeze. Back in Derbyshire. There it is. Oh no, I'm here. Well, I've enjoyed this ride very much. So it's basically 60 miles, just over 2 hours, plus all the stops. And some interesting roads, I think you'll agree. So if you liked it, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Tick the box. There's Enza. I'll keep it rolling for a little bit to show you the proximity to Chatsworth. So through the gates is Enza, where I was this morning, and this is the gardener's cottage. My father-in-law told me that the Duke came to see the man to buy it, because some of the places were freehold, and the Duke offered him to cover the floor of his cottage in gold sovereigns. In an instant the man said, done, if you put them on the edge. That's brilliant, isn't it? I'm sure it's not true, but you never know. Why is it the only cottage left out of all the others that were destroyed? You'll find a little bit of research quite interesting, quite a few ideas. I can't find anything about the gold sovereign story. So my father-in-law told me that 53 years ago. So there's Chatsworth there, if you can see it. Did they destroy it because the Duchess didn't want to see it? Well, they say you couldn't see Enza anyway. What is true? Enjoy your research. See you next time. Thank you so much.